from a C5. We did it, boys. We got a Corvette. I've been wanting one of these suckers for a long time. Only problem is how to buy a cheap one, and it has some problems. But hey, what's the car without a little bit of problems, right? So we're gonna get this thing home because it's raining and I'm scared. It's my first time driving it, and we're gonna take a good look at this thing. So catch you there. Okay. Let's cut to the chase. These things are bomb. Why do we got the Corvette in the backyard, you ask? Because this bitch got a rod knock. Well, I think it's a knock. I'm not really sure. It sounds like something. And a little bit of metal in the oil. And you know, we can sit around here, beat around the bush all we want, and try to think that, well, maybe the engine does need a rebuild. We're just gonna pull it out. I don't think this is something I'm gonna do myself. I've already gotten a couple quotes from machine shops, so probably do the same thing we did to the Beamer. Pull the engine out and give it to a guy, have him do his thing, and then give it back to us, and then we'll just throw it back in. So yeah, the way to pull these engines is, or you put on a lift, you unbolt the whole drivetrain, like rear cradle, front cradle, all that, and then it drops out from the bottom, and you obviously lift the car up. We can't do that. We're in the backyard. We got jacks and we got jack stands. So it is possible to pull this engine out from the top. Kind of a pain in the ass. And you know, these Corvettes are really wide and it's kind of hard to kind of reach over everything. It's kind of a pain in the ass, especially to do by yourself. But this is a pretty simple car, and we do this shit all the time, so why can't we do it to a V8, you know? We're gonna slowly start picking away at this. Hopefully I can get the engine out in about 2 or 3 days worth of mornings working on it before I go to work. But yeah, you know, I'm just trying to learn this engine. This is a badass car. Never really showed you guys much of it, really. So I got this from a kid. He's a little younger than me. He had this car with dreams of autocrossing it and all that stuff like that. Well, he heard a knock, he took it to get checked out, and he was like, yes, it's rod knock. So apparently this knock is coming from the bottom end. I tried everything I could to diagnose this because, you know, I was hoping I could do some quick little fix and then just keep it running and driving, don't touch the engine. But it's tough, man. It's tough. The engine does knock, but when it warms up, it doesn't. So it's kind of tough to find the knock if you can't hear it. And there's definitely metal in the oil because I changed it, and I don't really know what to do. It's got to be some type of bearing material. And yeah, anyways, we're beating around the bush. So it's got these Prisma freaking Johnnies in there. It's got short shifter, Momo steering wheel and hub. Really clean. I got some harnesses right there for it. Overall, super clean car. It's got like 82,000 original miles on it. Got the car for a good deal because obviously it has rod knock, but we can fix just about anything. So, well, it's got these badass Apex 18x11 wheels, with 295s all around, in all four corners. Fitment, it's whatever, but it's a Corvette, so. Front, same specs, 18x11 plus 57. I just pulled these wheels off the other day just to look at it. Plus 57. So these are Corvette specific wheels. It's got a bunch of these clear lights on it. Got a ZR1 style lip. What else we got? Got clear tails, kinda. Got some type of exhaust on it. It's like a catback, I don't know. Sounds pretty good. It's cool lip or spoiler, whatever. I kind of like it. We'll leave it. I guess I'll fire this thing up so you guys can hear it. I don't want to keep starting it, but oh well, she's already fucked. Oh, I've been driving it. It's Probably shouldn't be, but been driving it. Clutch in, crank her over. Ooh, now you can definitely hear it. Sounds fucking terrible. Hear it? You can hear it right now. I can't rev it, it's got damn drive-by-wire, so I'm not gonna rev it, but you can kind of hear it. I want to pull the oil pan and check all the bearings and stuff like that, but it's really hard to do with just putting the car on jack stands and just checking it. So yeah, it sounds pretty good, but if there wasn't metal in the oil, I would probably just send it, but there's definitely metal in the oil. I'm not going to show you guys this whole process, but I will tell you exactly how to get this engine out of the top of the Corvette. So I think I can do it by myself. It's gonna take some time, but we're gonna get to it. Good morning, you cool cats and kittens. I got my coffee. It's, I don't know, 9 in the morning. We made a lot of progress yesterday. I'll show you in a minute. All right, let's go. I should have at least put the camera down and do a time lapse, but I didn't do that either. So here we are. Here's the freaking... Here's this LS1, she's getting stripped down pretty quick. So the fortunate thing about this engine so far is that it's not too bad to work on. So let me show you what I did. There's a bunch of plugs right here for the injectors and the coil packs. As you can see, they're all right here. You know, this goes to the coil pack right here. Luckily, it's only one plug for all of them. You know, one plug per injector, 4 over there. Then we got a couple things. I labeled everything because I've never worked on an LS engine before. So this says throttle body, passenger side, because it has plugs on both sides. I know it's pretty self-explanatory, but trust me, it could be in 2 weeks, it could be 3 months before I put this engine back in. So I wrote pretty much everything. You know, here's the goes from the valve cover to the throttle body. And all these coolant lines, I just went ahead and put these clamps on because I didn't want to make a mess out of everything. So I had, there's 3 right here. So a couple will go down over to the heater core. One goes to this Johnny. Here's a lower radiator hose, here's upper radiator hose. And then this one right here goes to the throttle body. And there's another one that comes off of this vapor line and goes to the throttle body. So when you go to remove the intake, make sure that's off because you can't really see it. And pretty simple. There's 10 8mm bolts holding on the intake. The 2 in the back are kind of hard to get to. You can't use a socket, you got to use a wrench. I was able to get those off. You can't pull them out either, so you kind of got to pull them up out of like where they go into the heads, and then you have to slide the intake forward and get it out. Now there's a few things on the intake that you have to disconnect. There's this on the back. I don't know what it is. I put map ? I don't really know. So it just goes right on the back of the intake, and then this gets plugged in. Over here you got the same, pretty much the same amount of wires. The one that goes to the alternator, and then you have one that goes to the throttle body, one that goes all the way forward to the MAF sensor. So I labeled all of these, kind of got them out of the way. What's this one? Yeah, MAF. Oh yeah, and then here's the evap stuff. So this evap stuff has a quick disconnect clip. I broke it. Be more careful than me. So there are these style clips right here. What you have to do is you have to push in on these right here. You have to push in and then push the clip out that way. I'm an idiot, didn't do that, broke it. And then the fuel line was pretty easy to get off too. So what I had done is the fuel line is over here. You need a special tool, and I'll show you what tool I used in a second after we pretty much go over everything. Yeah, so that's pretty much gets me back up to speed of where I'm at now. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm just gonna take the coil packs and the plug wires off just to get them out of the way, because when you go to lift the engine, you don't want these things smacking against the top of the firewall. You want to make the engine as short as possible, height wise. You want to make it as short as possible. So we're gonna go ahead and take those off. Oh, I gotta put a Another thing that went into the intake was there's another valve cover breather back here. Had to freaking put that into the intake. That goes into the intake. Man, a ton of stuff went into the intake. So now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the alternator off. I'm probably going to take the power steering pump off. The more stuff you take off, the easier it is to get out. That way we can start getting over here. We might have to loosen the ABS unit because we're gonna have to pull the engine forward to get it out of the bell housing. And if you look right here, we don't have a lot of room. People have done it, so I can too. So we're gonna get that done. Make it a little bit more simple. There's a couple things that plug into it. Here's that coolant line I was talking about. You can't really see, it's down there. And then yeah, this goes all the way. See this? You don't really have to take this off. This thing's fucked. I might try to find a new one. Oh yeah, there's some type of ground, which is weird because I don't really think this is metal. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. Yeah, there's a ground. You gotta take that ground off. See all this BS back here? All these things that you have to unplug. So there's these tools right here. They're line disconnecting tools. I was able to use the blue one, the 3/8 one. So all you do is, let me kind of show you. So here's where the line was connected to. Once it goes in, it clips in, right? So in order to get it off, you take this, you put it around it like so, and then you kind of just push in and it'll go inside the line and boop, release it, and then you can pull it right off. So I don't know, I got this tool for, I don't know, like 10 bucks at O'Reilly's. It's good to have. I originally bought this to disconnect AC lines on a Ford Explorer, and this is a Chevy, so it's got its purposes. So it's good tool to have. And I thought I would never use those again, to be honest. Sorry for all the talking. I just want to make this video as explanatory as possible because there's only a couple people on YouTube that have documented pulling an LS engine out of a Corvette from the top, and specific, not really too specific either. So another thing we're going to focus on doing is we're going to try to get the wire harness out of the way of the engine. So these are the two knock sensors right here. As you see, it kind of goes down around and it goes to this plug. So we'll go ahead and take tape, we'll label this plug, disconnect this plug, and then I think this is the oil pressure sensor or some type of oil, Johnny. I know there's a cam, oh, here's the cam sensor, here's a cam sensor, so we'll label those, we'll get them out of the way. See this right here? This is actually bolted to the back of the engine. So once you start getting the engine like up and out, you're gonna need to disconnect this. I believe this is the, is this the EGR, or is this goes to the smog pump, something like that. I think what it does is injects air into your exhaust on cold start. That way it's I don't know, the fuel burns better or something. I don't fucking know. So we're gonna get these out. We're gonna get the harness out of the way. There's a ground. There's another ground right here on the back of the head. Label these and make sure you mark where they go, or else you're gonna forget. The water pump is like 6 bolts. We'll probably pull this off. Guys, I don't really know how much of this stuff you need to pull off, but it's just gonna make your life easier. I'm pulling this engine out. So yeah, we're gonna get back to work. More coffee first. Okay, another update. So, you know, trying to stay organized. Just about got all the front accessory pulleys and drives and everything off. All I gotta do is do the AC. So yeah, there's two 15 mils on top, but this one was a stud. So I just loosened the 15 mil, and then I took a 7 mil wrench, and I got that out. So these are just chilling. They can't come out because they're gonna hit the frame. That's okay. And then the other ones are on the bottom. You can see them. Oh, I got the wheel off, by the way. These are 19s. If I were you, put your lugs back on if your car's sitting outside. You don't want these exposed to weather. There they are, right there. See them? There's one, and there's two. So you can get those. I believe they're 15s. Get them with a long extension. So we'll get those. And guys, this is why it's very important to check cars after you buy them. Look at this. This thing is in bad shape. I don't know if this bushing is supposed to be there. I'm gonna assume that it is, so I gotta find another one. I gotta check the other side. But yeah, important. Always check stuff when you buy cars. I was excited to have the BC Racing coils on it. But look at this, guys. Look how dangerous this is. The whole thing is moving. We're gonna have to take these upper control off in a little bit. There's washers behind here, so these 4 bolts, we'll get into that later. Make sure you don't lose them. Okay, as for accessory drive, the water pump, you don't have to take it off, I don't think. I just took it off. You're gonna have to take it off eventually anyways. The less stuff on this engine, the better. So the water pump was easy. There's 2 gaskets right here, total of 6 bolts. Piece of cake. That wasn't hard at all. So I got the whole water pump assembly here. Guys, with your bolts, you can either put them in bags, or what I did is put them through, put some tape on them so they can't fall out. Very good to stay organized. These coil packs, I took those off too. There's 5 bolts per side, 10 millimeters. Took those off. All of my freaking plugs fell apart, so I gotta get new plug wires, but that's okay. Okay, now this was kind of a pain in the ass. So it's up to you how hard you want to work, but I was able to get it off. There's these 2 bolts right here. Okay, so here's the alternator bolts, right? Then there's 1 bolt, 2 bolt right there, 3 bolt, 4 bolt. So these 2 are easy to get off. These 2 hold the reservoir, but they also hold this to the head. These 2 were a pain to get off. I was able to do it, but it looks like you need to take this pulley off. I didn't take it off. I don't know if you're able to take it off. It looks like it's a hex in there, so I'm sure you could put some type of puller in there to get the pulley off. And I didn't do that. It was a pain in the ass, but I got it. It took me about 20 minutes. Like I said, make sure you put your bolts back in there. This is just draining. I'm trying not to make a mess. I'm turning a new leaf here. Trying not to make a mess. So the bottom of the power steering on the car was a 5/8. I got it right here. I just have it jammed in these wires. It's just draining into that bucket. Here's the other one. This is a hose clamp. It goes to the bottom of the reservoir. We got those out of the way. Now we're starting to look for things that we need to move over to get the engine out. Now I didn't want to, but it's time to crawl into the car. So it looks like we should be able to get the engine out with the headers on. We're gonna take these wheels off, and we're gonna lower the cradle down, but you're gonna notice the cradle's not gonna wanna go down because all the suspension stuff is attached. So you're gonna have to undo some of that. So let me do that, let me figure it out, and then I'll let you know exactly what I did. God, that's crazy to me, man. Okay, we're gonna get back to work. Okay, made some good progress today. So check this out. Forgot where I last updated you, but the engine's just about ready to pull. I think I got about 2 more bolts, just on both the bottom of the motor mounts, and then that's it. Oh, I got my my engine crane here, just kind of lined up with the front bumper, just to see if I have it smashed up against the bumper, will I be able to pull the engine out? The answer is maybe, because it should technically need to go back just a little bit more, and I'd rather not scratch the bumper. But the way you have to pull these engines out from the top, either you can pull them out from the front or you can pull them out from the side if you have all swiveling casters on your hoist. I do not. These 2 front ones do not slide sideways. They only slide forward and backwards. Kind of screwed myself. I've had this crane for a long time. Shit, I really should probably go buy a new one, because this thing's really getting old. Still does the job, pretty heavy duty, but yeah, kind of bummer. These Johnnies right here, 4 subframe bolts, 21 millimeters. What I did is I went under and I loosened them all first, just to make sure nothing was binding. So the way the internet says to do it is undo the upper control arm, right? It's 4 bolts. And be careful, because a couple of these will have washers behind them. Now these are what mess with your alignment. I believe it's your caster or something, or it could be a little bit of camber mixed with caster. So yeah, I had a nut right here and a nut right here, and then these 2 back ones didn't have anything, so I unbolted that. And once you start lowering the subframe, you're gonna notice that you're gonna have a lot of tension on these brake lines. Now, It's really simple. There's a 10 mil right here. It releases it from the chassis, so now you just have a floating hard line right here. 13 millimeter bolts undo the coilover from the lower control arm. So now this thing's just hanging, chilling. Same with the other side. As you can see, the subframe is dropped about, I don't know, 2 inches below the stud over here. Same with the rear. We got everything dropped down. I got those 2 bottom compressor bolts out. The compressor is free. And then over here, since my concrete is not level, these suckers are not as low as the other side, but hey, what can we do? We got this drop too. Now you gotta look around because I might be missing something. The more you drop the subframe, the more stress you put on stuff. So looked like I was pretty good. Watch out for your steering linkage. So I gotta disconnect this. This goes all the way to the pump up front or the headlight. Get rid of that. And then the bottom of the car. Okay, so let's crawl into there real quick. Exhaust disconnected. That was a pain in the ass of itself. So it's probably easier to take your headers off. I'm gonna try to get away without it. The header bolts are really freaking crapped out and they're hard to move, so did that. Okay, now here's the route I ended up going and we're gonna see if it works. I was able to get all the bolts out of the bell housing to the motor. So luckily, since I have a manual, I was able to pull this lower cover off. There's 2 right here, and then there's 5 more around the motor. 2 on the right side, 2 on the left side, and then 1 on the top left. So all the ones except for the top left I was able to get out from the bottom. The other one I was able to reach behind the motor with the engine drop down. As you see, this little thing that kind of ties together the whole bottom of the car. I have the torque tube straight up resting on this. I can't go any lower. If you wanted to go lower, you'd have to either loosen the first 8 or 10 of them and bend the panel down a little bit, or just take the whole thing off. The proper way to do it, the way I've seen everyone else do it, is they pulled out these 5 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, wait, yeah, 5. 2 on the right side, 2 on the left side, 1 on the bottom. Hopefully I won't have to do that, or else I'm gonna have to pull out this panel, because it's pretty tough to get to that bolt because the harness is like wedged in there. But yeah, now that I'm under here, I see a couple more things. There's a ground right here. It looks like a 15. So we'll pull off that ground. And I think there's another couple of grounds on the other side. Remember, your O2 sensors and all that stuff, your starter wires and all that need to be undone. So that's pretty much it for the bottom of the car. This thing's a pain in the ass to go on jack stands, but it is doable with a little bit of determination. So as you can see, now the engine can lift up a good 6 inches. So that way you'll be able to get it above the steering rack. Now I see a potential problem right here. This top line for the steering rack. If you damage that, you're gonna have to buy a new one. You're better just pulling it off. It's just 2 bolts from the head over there where the steering shaft connects, and then right here at the rack. Probably take that off. I'm glad I took all the power steering stuff off, because it looks like we were gonna have a problem with the ABS pump. But other than that, motor mounts, a couple grounds into there, and she's ready to pull out. And all in all, I would say just me by myself, I'm in this about a week worth of mornings, which is probably about 10 hours. But that's not really like on it all the actual time, you know. Take a break, drink a Mountain Dew, freaking 10 all these other cars I have. But I would say overall, out of a 10, I would probably say a 6, maybe a 7. And it's not because it's hard, it's just because it's a pain in the ass, and there's like 500 things you need to, there's so many bolts that I had to take off, and so many things that I had to move and freaking drop and all that. So it's done. Now the engine's ready to pull, so hopefully we don't break anything. We only broke a couple clips so far. We broke 1 bolt on the exhaust over there. Not a big deal. So yeah, we're gonna take this hood off. We're gonna hook up the hoist, and then we're gonna. Now this engine plate right here, it's from Dirty Dingo. I got it off of either Amazon or eBay, I can't remember. And this thing is supposed to do practically any LS, and I think it even does big block Chevys. So this is a badass engine plate, and what I like about it is the attention to detail the guy took to make it. He threaded the top plate and he put all the necessary bolts that you need. We'll get this ready to go on. The only 2 bolts I have left are the bottom of the motor mounts on the cradle. We're gonna go ahead and release those, and we got to get the hood off. And I got the hoist. The hoist goes plenty high, it looks like. Now the only problem we might have is, will the hoist be able to go far forward enough to actually like get a hold on the engine? We'll see. There we go. Get a jack stand. We're gonna go under the car and support the torque tube now that it has broken free. Well, I guess we start tilting. Just like that, we got her out. Honestly, not too challenging, but you just want to take good care of it because it's a Corvette, you know? Like, I don't know. I mean, this car already has a fair amount of scratches on it, but you know, I want to treat it nicely, even though I didn't even cover the fenders or anything, but whatever. So now what we got to do is clean this engine bay up, and I'm gonna call my machine shop and be like, yo, what's up? You ready? And then yeah, so I'm gonna put a couple tools away. Luckily I stayed pretty organized during this whole thing, but now what I'm gonna need to do is degrease this entire engine bay. I am so glad I moved this out of the way as well, because it would have gotten broken. As you could see, the balancer was dragging on the, what's it called? As soon as it came up, it was like fling. So we got that out, and we got minimal to 0 damage. That being said, I want to thank you guys for watching. If this video was helpful to you, like, subscribe, you know, comment and say, Andrew, you're the man. Do something, man. Help me out here, guys, please. But yeah, no, I do like documenting this stuff because I do tons and tons of research before I tackle big projects like this. And I want to share everything I learned with everybody else who wants to learn how to do this as well. Now, I was reading on forums because, you know, these cars aren't that new. I was reading on forums, pictures, what people are saying. Oh, watch out for this, watch out for that. I want to put it all on video so you guys can get a good idea of what kind of project this is. You know, it's not easy. It really isn't. But as long as you take your time, it's mainly just keeping your mental straight, and after that, it's a piece of cake. So, anyways. We'll see you guys later. This is Sean Garza, Slide Modified. I'm out. Catch you guys later.